She took the job nobody wanted at the cruel rich cowboys' ranch and lived the best days of her life. Eleanor Parker had never thought her life would take such a strange turn. At 28, she had faced a series of job rejections that left her feeling invisible, like a ghost in the bustling city. The problem wasn't her skills. She was a capable engineer, someone who could fix almost anything. But somehow, life kept offering her jobs nobody wanted. Jobs too small, too messy, too boring. She sighed as she scanned the morning's job listings. Most were unremarkable: data entry, online surveys, deliveries. Then one listing caught her eye: ranch worker needed, must be adventurous, pay excellent, job tough, not for everyone. The title made her laugh. Who would post a warning like that? Not for everyone, she muttered, raising an eyebrow. Something about it felt like a challenge, a puzzle wrapped in a sentence. Eleanor had always loved challenges. Maybe this was her chance. The advertisement listed the owner as a man known only as the cruel rich cowboy. The stories about him were wild. People said he drove away employees with impossible tasks, eccentric rules, and sudden whims. But some said he was brilliant, even inspiring, just hard to work for. Eleanor leaned back in her chair and thought. Sure, she could find a safer job, something predictable, maybe even boring. But she had tried that, and boredom had always eaten her alive. This, she realized, was different. This could be her adventure. By the next week, Eleanor had packed her essentials and set off to find the ranch. The ride took her far out of the city, past rolling hills, dense forests, and wide open plains that stretched to the horizon. The air grew cleaner with every mile, and the bustle of the city faded behind her. When she arrived, the ranch sprawled before her like something out of a dream or a challenge. It was vast, larger than any farm she had ever seen, but also full of odd, futuristic touches. Hovering drones patrolling the fields, strange glass domes covering parts of the land, and robotic animals roaming alongside real ones. The juxtaposition of old-fashioned ranch life and high-tech machinery made the place seem alive, almost breathing. A tall man with a wide-brimmed hat and sharp eyes approached. His expression was unreadable. "You must be Eleanor," he said in a deep voice. "I'm Callum Gray." Eleanor extended her hand. "Yes, ma'am, or sir," she asked awkwardly. Callum smiled faintly but didn't correct her. "Follow me," he said. "I'll show you the place and explain the rules." As they walked, Eleanor noticed the strange efficiency of the ranch. Machines worked in tandem with humans, watering crops, tending animals, and maintaining the property. But she also noticed things the machines couldn't do. The careful way the caretaker brushed a foal's mane, the quiet way a worker whispered to a robotic dog as if it understood her, the little adjustments a human hand made that no algorithm could predict. Callum stopped near a large barn, its doors polished and shining under the sun. "This," he said, "is your first assignment, and before you ask, yes, it's as tough as it looks, but I think you might be capable." Eleanor peeked inside. Rows of small creatures scurried about, their fur shimmering in shades she had never seen. They were real, alive, and yet there was something artificial about them, something that made them look like they could be part machine. She felt a thrill of excitement. This wasn't just a farm. It was a world full of possibilities, mysteries, and, most importantly, problems to solve. She spent the first day learning the ranch's layout. There were domes containing alien plants, fields with unusual soil patterns, and robotic systems that monitored everything from weather to crop health. It was overwhelming, but Eleanor loved it. She had never worked somewhere that demanded every ounce of her attention and skill. She wasn't just filling a role, she was exploring. That evening, after a long day of walking, observing, and helping where she could, Eleanor sat on the porch of her small cabin. The sky was painted in oranges and purples, and the wind carried the faint smell of grass and machinery. She felt a strange sense of peace, something she hadn't felt in years. First day done, she whispered to herself. She thought of the stories about the cruel rich cowboy and how terrifying he supposedly was, but she hadn't seen any cruelty today, just challenges, just opportunities. Over the next few days, Alina learned more about the ranch. She discovered that the cruel part of the cowboy's reputation came from the impossible-seeming tasks he set for his employees. One day, she helped a worker figure out how to balance the water supply to both the alien plants and the regular crops. Machines tried, but they failed. Only her human intuition solved the problem. Another day, she guided a small herd of robotic horses through a field full of natural obstacles. The machines could calculate the paths, but only Alina's quick thinking prevented the horses from getting confused or frightened. With each success, Alina felt more alive. She realized something incredible. Humans had abilities that no machine could replicate. Creativity, empathy, intuition. These were skills that could not be programmed. They were uniquely hers, and yet the ranch was not without mystery. At night, she often heard soft humming noises coming from the domes, and strange lights flickered across the fields. Alina's curiosity burned brighter than her fatigue. She wondered what other secrets the ranch held, what other challenges awaited her. Callum noticed her curiosity. One evening, he approached her cabin. "You're asking questions," he said. "Good. That's the kind of mind this ranch needs." Alina smiled. "I can't help it. There's so much here, it's unlike anything I've ever seen." Callum tipped his hat. "You'll see more. And remember, every task here isn't just work, it's a lesson. You'll learn things about yourself, about the world, and about what humans can do that machines cannot." Alina felt a thrill run through her. She had always known humans were capable of amazing things, but seeing it in action, living it, made her heart race. She couldn't wait to see what the next day would bring. The first week passed quickly. Alina made friends with other workers, learned how to manage the hybrid systems of animals and robots, and even started suggesting improvements to the ranch's operations. Each suggestion was met with cautious approval from Callum, who seemed to enjoy watching Alina's mind at work. One afternoon, while repairing a small weather-monitoring drone, Alina realized something important. She was happy. Not just content, but truly happy. She had work she loved, challenges she could tackle, and freedom she had never known before. This was the kind of life she had been searching for, and she had found it in the place nobody else wanted to work. By the end of the week, Alina had earned her first real sense of accomplishment. Callum walked up to her as she finished her tasks. "You've done well," he said simply. "Most people quit before they even understand what's expected. You've managed to thrive. That's rare." Alina smiled a little shyly. "I think I like it here," she admitted. Callum's eyes twinkled behind the brim of his hat. "Good, because this is just the beginning. The ranch has a way of teaching lessons you can't find anywhere else. And something tells me you're ready for them." That night, Alina sat outside her cabin looking at the stars. The ranch was quiet now, the machines resting, the animals asleep. And yet she felt more awake than she ever had. She realized that the job nobody wanted had given her the greatest gift, a chance to discover herself, to see her talents in action, and to live a life full of challenges she could actually enjoy. She smiled to herself and whispered, "I think I made the right choice." And as the night wind whispered through the fields, the ranch seemed to hum back, as if acknowledging her. Alina Parker, the woman who took the job nobody wanted, was exactly where she belonged. The next morning, Alina woke up before dawn. The sky was still painted in soft shades of purple and blue, and the distant hills glimmered with morning dew. She felt a strange excitement in her chest. Yesterday had been her first taste of the ranch, but today promised something more, something that could truly test her skills. After a quick breakfast in the small dining hall with other workers, Alina was called to meet Callum. He was standing near a series of large fields, his hat tilted low over his eyes as if watching the land itself. "Good morning, Alina," he said. "Today you'll begin your first real challenge. It's not dangerous, but it is complicated." Alina nodded, curiosity brimming. "What do I need to do?" Callum gestured toward a set of strange-looking plants that grew in geometrical patterns across the field. Their leaves glimmered faintly in the early sun, and small sensors seemed embedded in the soil around them. "These plants are not ordinary," Callum explained. "They respond to temperature, light, and moisture in ways that regular crops do not. They need careful attention. If you fail, they stop growing." Alina examined the field carefully. She realized that machines had been attempting to care for the plants, but their systems couldn't account for small changes in weather or soil quality. The plants needed more than routine care. They needed understanding, intuition, and patience. "Machines can't do this," Alina muttered to herself. "But humans, maybe humans can." She spent the morning studying the plants, taking careful notes about how each leaf reacted to the sunlight, wind, and soil moisture. She experimented with watering patterns, adjusted the small supports holding the taller plants, and even used her fingers to test the temperature of the soil in different areas. Slowly she saw changes. The leaves began to glow brighter and new shoots appeared where none had grown before. Callum watched from a distance, nodding silently. "Most people would have given up by now," he said to a nearby worker. "But she seems to understand what the plants need. That's rare." By midday, Alina had learned the first lesson of the ranch. Understanding comes from observation, not just instructions. Machines could follow rules, but humans could notice patterns, sense needs, and adjust with care. After lunch, Alina was introduced to another challenge, a small herd of robotic horses that needed guidance through an obstacle course. The robots were designed to simulate the behavior of real animals, but they often got confused in unpredictable situations. The other workers had tried and failed, and Alina could see why. The horses hesitated, backed up, and sometimes refused to move forward. But Alina did not panic. She studied their movements, noticed the subtle signals in their sensors, and used calm, encouraging words. Slowly, she guided them through the course, adjusting her approach with each step. When the last horse cleared the final obstacle, a cheer rose from the workers. Alina smiled, her heart pounding with pride. Once again, she realized that humans had a special ability: empathy. Machines could calculate paths, but they could not understand fear, hesitation, or confidence. Only a human could. Callum approached her again as the workers celebrated. "You're learning quickly," he said. "Most people would try to control the horses by force or programming. You are teaching them. That's the difference between a worker and a human problem solver." Alina felt a thrill. She had never thought of herself as extraordinary, but on this ranch, she saw the truth. Humans could do things no machine could. They could think, feel, and adjust in ways that were unpredictable yet brilliant. The next few days were a whirlwind of learning. Alina worked with robotic drones to manage irrigation systems, helped care for unusual animals that seemed part organic and part robotic, and even experimented with hybrid plants that glowed faintly at night. Each task was designed to push her skills and creativity, and she loved every moment. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the hills, Alina sat with a few of the other workers around a small fire. They laughed and shared stories of past attempts at the ranch. Many had failed and left, overwhelmed by the strange tasks and high expectations. "But you," said a tall, cheerful worker named Myra, "you handle things differently. You watch, think, and adapt. Most people just try to follow instructions." Alina smiled. "I guess I like figuring things out for myself," she admitted. "It feels alive, like the work itself is a puzzle." Myra nodded. "Exactly, and the cowboy, he's not cruel, just particular. He wants to see what humans can really do." Alina thought about Callum's words. The so-called cruel rich cowboy wasn't cruel at all. He was a teacher, a guide, and a challenge. The ranch itself seemed to be designed to bring out the best in humans, to make them think, feel, and create in ways they never imagined. The following day, Alina was sent to the greenhouse domes. Inside, she found a small jungle of alien plants, each glowing softly in colors she had never seen. Callum explained that these plants had unique needs and that their health depended on delicate balances of light, water, and temperature. "This is not a job for machines," he said. "They can follow routines, but they cannot feel. They cannot notice subtle changes or react to unexpected conditions. Humans can." Alina spent hours inside the domes, adjusting lights, moving plants to more favorable positions, and noting patterns in their growth. She even discovered a few tiny flowers that only opened when she played soft music nearby, a delicate reminder that life, in all its forms, was more complex than anyone could predict. By evening, she was exhausted but thrilled. She had never felt such satisfaction in her work. Every task, every small success, confirmed something she had always believed. Humans were capable of extraordinary things when given the chance. As she stepped out of the dome, Alina noticed a small robotic assistant waiting for her. It had been watching her work all day, recording patterns and learning. She smiled at it. "Maybe one day you'll understand," she said gently. "But for now, humans like me are still the teachers." Callum approached her again, his shadow stretching long in the setting sun. "You're discovering the truth about this place," he said. "Most people only see difficulty and leave, but you are seeing opportunity. That is rare. Remember, Alina, humans are not meant to follow instructions blindly. Humans are meant to think, create, and adapt. That's why you belong here." Alina felt a warm glow of pride. For the first time in her life, she realized she was not just surviving, she was thriving. The ranch was not a burden. It was a playground for her talents, a place where her creativity, intuition, and empathy could shine. Over the next few days, Alina faced even more unusual challenges. She helped design a system to redirect rainwater into precise channels for the hybrid crops, worked with robotic bees to pollinate the glowing flowers, and even assisted in teaching a small alien animal to trust human hands. Each success brought her closer to the truth. Humans could solve problems that seemed impossible, not because they followed rules, but because they could think in ways machines never would. One afternoon, Alina found herself alone in a quiet corner of the ranch, watching the sunset over the hills. The drones flew silently above, the robotic horses grazed calmly, and the alien plants shimmered in the fading light. She felt a deep sense of connection not just to the ranch but to life itself. "I think I'm going to like it here," she whispered. From the shadows, Callum's voice answered gently. "You don't just like it here, Alina. You are becoming part of it. And the ranch, it is becoming part of you." That night, Alina lay in her small cabin, exhausted but exhilarated. She thought about the week she had spent at the ranch, the tasks she had completed, the patterns she had discovered, and the friends she had made. She realized that this was only the beginning. The ranch held more challenges, more mysteries, and more lessons than she could imagine. But for the first time in her life, Alina felt ready. She had discovered something incredible about herself. Humans were not ordinary. Humans could think, adapt, feel, and create in ways that no machine could match. And on this ranch, she had a chance to prove it, to herself and to the world. Alina smiled as she drifted off to sleep. The ranch was quiet now, but tomorrow it would hum to life again. And she would be ready, ready to face every challenge, discover every secret, and prove that humans, clever, curious, compassionate humans, could thrive anywhere. For the first time, Alina Parker felt truly alive. Alina woke to the soft chirping of birds and the gentle hum of the ranch's machines. The morning air smelled fresh and sweet, carrying hints of grass, flowers, and the faint tang of dew. She stretched, feeling a rush of energy. The last week had been exhausting, but it was also exhilarating. Every day brought new challenges, new puzzles, and now new friends. Myra, the cheerful worker Alina had met by the fire, knocked on the cabin door with a bright smile. "Ready to start?" she asked. "Callum has something new for us today." Alina nodded eagerly. "Absolutely." She grabbed her notebook and followed Myra out into the morning light. They met Callum near a hidden part of the ranch Alina had not explored before. Behind a dense line of trees, a small gate opened to reveal a secret garden, unlike anything she had seen. Strange plants grew in spirals and geometric patterns, their colors shifting like oil on water. Tiny lights flickered among the leaves, as if the garden itself were alive. "These are experimental species," Callum explained. "They don't survive under normal conditions. You'll need to observe, interact, and care for them. Machines can monitor, but only humans can understand." Alina felt a thrill of excitement. The challenge was unlike anything she had faced. She knelt beside the plants, gently touching their leaves, noting how they responded to light, temperature, and movement. Myra joined her, and together they began recording patterns and adjusting small environmental factors. As they worked, Alina realized something important. She was no longer alone. Myra's observations complemented hers, and together they could solve problems faster and more creatively. Humans were capable of amazing things individually, but when they worked together, they could achieve even more. After hours of careful observation, Alina noticed a pattern she had missed before. Some of the glowing flowers only opened when certain sounds were made nearby. She experimented with humming different tunes, and slowly the flowers unfurled, releasing a soft, magical glow. Myra clapped her hands in delight. "Look at that!" she exclaimed. "You figured it out," Alina smiled. "I think it's like they respond to attention, like they know we're listening." Callum appeared from behind a row of trees, nodding in approval. "Exactly," he said. "Life is responsive. Machines follow instructions. Humans notice. Humans understand. That is the difference." By midday, Alina and Myra had formed a small routine, exploring the secret garden, documenting patterns, and testing hypotheses. They laughed at small mistakes and celebrated each tiny success. The friendship brought warmth and joy to Alina's days, making the ranch feel less like a challenge and more like a community. One afternoon, while adjusting the temperature of a glowing plant, Alina noticed a small door partially hidden under a vine. Curious, she brushed the leaves aside and discovered a narrow passage leading to an underground laboratory. The air smelled faintly of metal and earth. Her heart raced. She had stumbled upon something secret. "Myra," she whispered, pulling her friend close, "look at this." Myra's eyes widened. "I've heard rumors," she said quietly. "Some say Callum experiments with new life forms, but nobody's ever seen it." Alina stepped into the lab, amazed. Shelves held glowing plants, strange vials of liquid that shimmered in shifting colors, and small cages containing animals that seemed part organic, part robotic. One tiny creature with luminous eyes peeked out at her, tilting its head curiously. "They're incredible," Alina breathed. "It's like a whole new world down here." Myra nodded. "I've never dared come this far, but you have the curiosity to explore." As they carefully examined the lab, Alina noticed subtle patterns in the experiments. Some plants reacted to touch, some to light, and some even to sound. The creatures showed signs of learning, memory, and problem-solving. Machines could not predict their behavior, but Alina's intuition allowed her to understand and interact with them. She gently reached out to one of the small creatures. It sniffed her hand, then with surprising boldness climbed onto her shoulder. Alina laughed softly. "I guess we're friends," she said. Myra smiled. "See, humans can connect in ways machines never will. That's why we're special." Over the next few days, Alina and Myra explored the underground lab in secret. They experimented with plants and creatures, documenting behaviors and testing theories. Each discovery filled Alina with a sense of wonder. She realized that curiosity, patience, and empathy were more powerful than any machine or system. Humans could notice patterns, form connections, and adapt in ways that technology could never replicate. One evening, Callum appeared in the lab unexpectedly. Alina froze, expecting a scolding, but instead he smiled. "You've found the secret lab," he said, "and you've handled it well. That shows careful observation, respect, and creativity, exactly the qualities this place needs." Alina felt a rush of pride. "Thank you, sir." "I just wanted to understand," Callum nodded. "Understanding is the first step toward mastery. Humans can explore, learn, and innovate in ways machines cannot. That is the lesson this ranch teaches." As days passed, Alina's confidence grew. She began suggesting improvements to the lab, helping organize experiments, and even designing small devices to assist the creatures. Each success reinforced her belief that humans were uniquely capable. Machines could calculate, monitor, and automate, but humans could connect, adapt, and create. Her friendship with Myra also deepened. They shared meals, stories, and laughter. They encouraged each other through failures and celebrated successes together. Alina realized that humans thrived not just individually, but together. Connection, empathy, and collaboration were as important as skill and knowledge. One morning, while observing a glowing plant, Alina noticed an unusual reaction. The plant's light pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She called Myra over, and together they experimented, discovering that the plant responded to human emotion. Joy, calmness, curiosity, each feeling made it glow differently. "This is incredible," Alina whispered. "It's like the plant understands us." Myra nodded. "Exactly, and only humans could notice that. Machines would never feel it." Callum observed from a distance, a rare smile on his face. "Humans are extraordinary," he said quietly. "They see patterns, form connections, and respond with creativity. That is why they matter. That is why this ranch exists." The two friends continued exploring, experimenting, and learning. Alina's days were filled with challenges, but they were challenges she loved. Each task, each discovery, each interaction reinforced something she had always known deep down. Humans were special, not because they were stronger or faster, but because they could think, feel, and adapt in ways no machine could match. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, Alina and Myra returned to the surface. The ranch looked peaceful, the glowing plants shimmering in the evening light. The machines rested, the creatures slept, and the gentle wind carried the faint scent of flowers and earth. "I never imagined a job could be like this," Alina said softly. "It's not just work, it's discovery, learning, friendship, life." Myra smiled. "And you're only beginning. There's so much more to explore." Alina felt a rush of excitement. She realized that she had found a place where she belonged, where her human skills, intuition, and empathy were not just useful. They were vital. She had faced challenges, made friends, and uncovered mysteries that would keep her mind active for years. That night, Alina lay in her cabin, thinking about the day. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the ranch, for Callum, and for Myra. And most of all, she felt proud of herself, for her curiosity, her courage, and her ability to thrive in a world full of complexity and wonder. The ranch had shown her something she would never forget. Humans were capable of amazing things. They could explore, connect, and innovate in ways that machines could never match. And in this secret, magical place, Alina Parker had found her true home. She drifted off to sleep with a smile, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities to prove that humans, clever, creative, compassionate humans, could accomplish the extraordinary. For Alina, the best days of her life were only beginning. The morning began quietly at the ranch, the sky a pale blue, the sun slowly climbing above the distant hills. Alina had grown used to this rhythm of life, early mornings, careful observation, and the endless discovery that each day brought. But today felt different. There was an unusual tension in the air, a subtle shift in the pattern she had grown accustomed to. Callum approached Eleanor as she inspected the hybrid crops near the glowing domes. "Eleanor," he said, his voice calm but serious, "a storm is coming, not an ordinary one. The planetary weather systems are acting strangely, and the ranch will need careful management to survive it." Eleanor's heart beat faster, but not with fear. She had faced challenges before, but this was different. This was not just routine work. This was a test of everything she had learned so far: observation, intuition, creativity, and collaboration. "Tell me what to do," she said firmly. Callum nodded. "Machines alone cannot handle this. They can track the storm, but they cannot adapt to unexpected changes. Humans must guide the ranch through it." Eleanor quickly gathered Myra and a few other workers. Together, they began preparing the ranch. Eleanor divided tasks carefully. Some would reinforce the greenhouses and domes, others would secure animals and robotic systems, and a few would monitor the weather patterns using both machines and human observation. As the clouds gathered and the wind picked up, Eleanor felt a thrill of purpose. This was the moment where human ingenuity would be tested. She moved between teams, giving guidance, adjusting plans based on real-time observations, and keeping spirits high. Her calm, decisive leadership reassured the workers, and they responded with energy and focus. By midday, the storm had arrived. Wind howled across the plains, carrying heavy rain in irregular bursts. The domes rattled under the force, and the robotic horses struggled to maintain balance. Machines worked frantically, but Eleanor noticed small issues that no system could predict. The alien plants reacted differently in high humidity, and some of the hybrid crops needed careful adjustment of light and water to prevent damage. Eleanor moved quickly, hands working alongside her mind. She adjusted valves, repositioned plants, and guided the robotic animals to safer ground. Myra followed her lead, helping with delicate tasks, and the other workers followed Eleanor's instructions with precision. At one point, a small creature she had befriended, the glowing-eyed animal from the secret lab, scurried toward Eleanor, frightened by the wind. She picked it up gently, calming it with soft words and careful movements. The creature's glow steadied, and Eleanor realized something important. Empathy, care, and understanding could achieve what machines could not. Humans could see fear, hesitation, or confusion and respond with compassion. Hours passed. The storm raged, but Eleanor and her team adapted at every step. Machines alone would have failed. They could only follow protocols, but humans could observe, adjust, and innovate in the moment. Eleanor's mind worked rapidly, noticing patterns, predicting outcomes, and directing actions. By evening, the storm began to subside. The wind calmed, the rain slowed, and the clouds drifted away, leaving the sky a brilliant shade of orange and gold. Eleanor and her team were exhausted, but the ranch had survived. The plants were intact, the animals were safe, and the hybrid systems were still functioning. Callum approached Eleanor, his face showing the faintest trace of a smile. "Well done," he said simply. "Most would have failed, but you led. You observed, adapted, and solved problems no machine could. That is human strength. That is why you belong here." Eleanor felt a rush of pride, not just for herself, but for the team. They had worked together, each human skill complementing the others. Machines had been useful, but it was humanity, the creativity, empathy, and quick thinking that had saved the day. That night the ranch was quiet. Eleanor walked among the glowing plants and hybrid crops, feeling the gentle hum of life around her. The storm had left the land fresh and vibrant, the air crisp and clean. She thought about the lessons she had learned. Observation was not enough, planning was not enough, and technology alone could not solve every problem. Humans were special because they could adapt, connect, and respond in ways that were unpredictable yet brilliant. Myra joined her carrying 2 cups of tea. "You did amazing today," she said softly. "I've never seen anyone handle a challenge like that." Alina smiled. "We did it together, humans, machines, and all, but I think humans made the biggest difference." Myra nodded. "Exactly. That's the ranch. It shows what we can do when we really try." Over the next few days, Alina helped repair minor damage, reorganized systems for better efficiency, and even experimented with new hybrid techniques she had thought of during the storm. Her confidence grew with every success. She realized that true skill wasn't just about following instructions. It was about thinking ahead, adapting, and connecting with the world around her. Callum observed her quietly, sometimes offering advice, sometimes simply watching. One afternoon, he approached Alina as she checked the irrigation system. "You have changed," he said. "Not in your skills, but in your perspective. Most humans would see the storm as a threat, a problem. But you saw it as a challenge, an opportunity to learn. That is rare." Alina felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I never thought of it that way," she admitted. "I just wanted to do my best." Callum nodded. "Doing your best is enough, but noticing, adapting, and connecting, that is what makes humans extraordinary. That is what makes you extraordinary." As the week passed, Alina continued to thrive. She helped design new systems for the hybrid crops, collaborated with Myra and other workers to improve efficiency, and explored more areas of the ranch. She even returned to the underground lab, experimenting with new combinations of plants and creatures, each one more fascinating than the last. She discovered patterns in the glowing flowers that responded to music, designed small tools to help the hybrid animals navigate difficult terrain, and even experimented with light and moisture combinations to encourage plant growth. Every discovery brought a thrill of satisfaction and wonder. One evening, as Alina and Myra sat outside their cabin, watching the sunset, Alina reflected on her journey. She had come to the ranch seeking work, unsure of what to expect. She had faced challenges, storms, and strange experiments, but she had also discovered something far more important. Humans were capable of extraordinary things. They could think, adapt, feel, and create in ways machines could not. They could observe patterns, understand emotion, and respond with empathy. And when they worked together, combining their skills and ideas, they could achieve the impossible. "I can't believe how much I've learned," Alina said softly. "And I feel alive. I've never felt like this anywhere else." Myra smiled. "That's the ranch. It brings out the best in humans. You've proven yourself, Alina. You're more capable than you ever imagined." Alina looked out over the fields, glowing domes and hybrid crops. The wind carried the faint hum of machines and the soft rustle of plants. She felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the ranch but to life itself. This was her home, a place where her skills, intuition, and empathy mattered. Callum appeared beside them, his presence quiet but commanding. "You've done well," he said. "The ranch is stronger because of your choices, your observation, and your care. You've proven something important. Humans can thrive where others fail. Humans can make a difference that machines cannot. And that is the greatest lesson of all." Alina felt a surge of pride. She had faced the storm, solved impossible problems, and emerged stronger. But more than that, she had discovered the truth about herself. She was capable, creative, and resilient. She had a unique ability to observe, understand, and adapt. And in this magical, challenging ranch, those abilities mattered more than anywhere else. That night, Alina lay in her cabin, watching the stars through the small window. She thought about the storm, the challenges, and the victories. She thought about her friends, her discoveries, and the lessons she had learned. And she felt a profound sense of gratitude for the ranch, for Callum, for Myra, and for herself. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new discoveries. But Alina was ready. She had faced storms and emerged victorious, guided not by rules or instructions, but by her human skills, observation, creativity, empathy, and courage. And as she drifted into sleep, Alina knew something deep inside her. She had changed. She was no longer just a worker at the ranch. She was a creator, a thinker, a problem solver. She was human, and that was enough, more than enough. The ranch had tested her, taught her, and transformed her. And Alina Parker, the woman who took the job nobody wanted, was ready to face whatever came next, with confidence, curiosity, and the remarkable power of being human. The morning sun poured golden light across the ranch, illuminating the domes, hybrid crops, and robotic animals, as if everything were glowing with a quiet magic. Alina Parker stepped outside her cabin, breathing deeply. The air was crisp, fresh, and full of possibility. She had faced storms, solved complex problems, explored hidden labs, and discovered incredible creatures and plants. And now, she felt an undeniable sense of belonging. Myra was waiting for her near the greenhouse domes, a bright smile on her face. "Good morning. Are you ready for today's adventure?" she asked. Alina laughed softly. "I think I am. What do you have in mind?" Myra handed her a small tablet. "Callum wants us to prepare a demonstration for the new workers. He says it's important for them to see what humans can do that machines cannot." Alina's eyes lit up. She loved teaching, sharing knowledge, and showing others the wonder of discovery. The task was perfect. She and Myra spent the morning organizing the demonstration, highlighting hybrid plants, robotic animals, and the secret laboratory they had explored. Every detail was explained with care, from the glowing flowers that responded to music to the hybrid animals that learned patterns from human interaction. When the new workers arrived, Alina stood proudly at the front of the demonstration. She explained each system, each experiment, and each creature, showing how human intuition, empathy, and creativity made the ranch thrive. One young worker raised a hand. "Why do humans matter so much here? Machines seem to do most of the work." Alina smiled, thinking carefully. "Machines can follow instructions, they can calculate and monitor, but they cannot feel, notice subtle changes, or adapt in unexpected situations. Humans can. We can observe, understand, and respond. We can connect with the world, solve problems creatively, and care in ways machines never can. That is why humans are important. That is why we matter here." The new workers nodded, eyes wide with understanding. Callum watched silently, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Alina realized he had been watching her growth all along, not just her ability to solve problems, but her ability to inspire others. After the demonstration, Alina and Myra returned to the greenhouse domes. The light of late afternoon filtered through the leaves, casting a golden glow. Alina sat beside a cluster of hybrid flowers that responded to soft music. She hummed a gentle tune, and the plants slowly opened, releasing a soft, radiant glow. Myra watched her with admiration. "You've changed everything here, Alina. The ranch, it's more alive because of you." Alina shook her head, smiling. "Not just me, all of us. Humans and machines together. Everyone has a role, but I've realized that humans bring something special, something irreplaceable." Over the next few days, Alina continued to explore, experiment, and teach. She helped design new patterns for hybrid crops, improved the care routines for robotic and living animals, and even collaborated on small experiments to encourage the glowing plants to bloom in new ways. Each task brought excitement, challenge, and the satisfaction of seeing humans make a difference where machines alone could not. One morning, Alina was called to the secret underground lab by Callum. She descended the narrow staircase with anticipation, wondering what new surprise awaited her. Inside, Callum gestured to a small table covered in shimmering tools, tiny vials of glowing liquid, and carefully organized plant samples. "Alina," he said, "you have grown remarkably since your first day. You have shown creativity, empathy, and patience. Today, I want you to design something of your own, something that reflects what humans can do that machines cannot." Alina's heart raced. She looked at the materials, thinking carefully. Ideas swirled in her mind, glowing flowers that responded to laughter, hybrid animals that learned through observation, plants that grew patterns reflecting music. She smiled, feeling inspired. Over the next several hours, Alina experimented. She combined glowing flowers with subtle light sensors, designed small devices to help hybrid animals navigate tricky terrain, and even crafted a small garden section where plants responded to the emotions of humans nearby. It was delicate work, but Alina's skill and intuition guided her every step. When she finished, she stepped back, amazed at what she had created. The garden pulsed gently with light, reflecting the emotions of anyone nearby, while the small hybrid animals interacted with humans in thoughtful, responsive ways. It was a living demonstration of human creativity, empathy, and adaptability, something no machine could replicate. Callum observed silently, nodding with quiet approval. "You have done something extraordinary," he said finally. "This is more than work. This is proof of the power of humans. You've shown what can happen when curiosity, observation, and care are combined. You've brought life and understanding in ways machines never could." Alina felt a deep sense of pride. She realized that this ranch, the job nobody wanted, had given her something she had never expected. It had given her confidence, friendship, purpose, and a place where her human skills mattered more than anywhere else. That evening, she walked across the fields with Myra, the glowing plants lighting their path. The air was calm, the sky painted in rich colors of orange and purple. They paused near a group of hybrid horses who nuzzled Alina gently, recognizing her presence. She laughed softly. "I never imagined life could be like this," Alina said. "I thought I was just taking a job, but this is so much more. It's discovery, learning, friendship, life." Myra smiled. "And you've inspired everyone here. Humans have always been special, but seeing it in action makes it real. You've helped everyone understand what we can do." Alina looked out over the ranch. She thought of the early days when she had hesitated to take the job, unsure of what awaited her. She thought of the challenges she had faced, the hybrid crops, the robotic animals, the storm, the secret lab, and how each obstacle had taught her something new about herself. She realized that every moment, every challenge, and every friendship had shaped her. She also understood something more. Humans had qualities that machines could never replicate. Curiosity, empathy, intuition, creativity, and the ability to connect with the world were her greatest strengths. And this ranch, with its combination of technology, life, and challenge, was the perfect place for those qualities to shine. As night fell, Alina returned to her cabin, thinking about the journey she had taken. She had arrived unsure, uncertain, and hesitant. She had faced challenges, storms, and strange experiments. But she had also discovered something incredible. Humans were capable of extraordinary things. She lay down on her bed, staring at the ceiling as the soft hum of the ranch carried through the night. Tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new opportunities, and new challenges, but she was ready. She had grown, learned, and thrived. She was confident, curious, and alive. Alina smiled as sleep began to overtake her. She thought of Myra, the workers, Callum, and the incredible creatures and plants that made the ranch so unique. And she realized something profound. The job nobody wanted had given her the best days of her life. She had learned that work could be more than just a routine. It could be a place of discovery, creativity, and connection. It could show the world what humans were capable of. And in this magical, challenging, and extraordinary ranch, Alina Parker had found not only her skills but her purpose, her joy, and her home. The next morning she woke early, ready to greet the day. She stepped outside, the ranch bathed in the soft light of dawn, and felt a deep sense of peace. The wind whispered through the fields, the robotic animals moved gracefully among the hybrid crops, and the glowing plants shimmered gently, as if acknowledging her presence. Alina Parker, the woman who had taken the job nobody wanted, smiled and whispered to herself, This, this is the best life I could have ever imagined. And for the first time in her life, she truly believed it. The ranch was not just a workplace. It was a living, breathing testament to what humans could do. It was a place where creativity, empathy, curiosity, and adaptability mattered. And Alina, with all her heart and mind, had proven that humans were extraordinary. She walked through the glowing fields, feeling the soft hum of life all around her, and knew this was only the beginning. Every day here would be filled with discovery, learning, and the joy of being human. And Alina Parker would live it fully, gratefully, and brilliantly, embracing every challenge, every friendship, and every opportunity that came her way. The job nobody wanted had become the best days of her life, and Alina would never forget it.